these are principles that I'm in lockstep with President Obama on. And this is a unique moment in American history. We have a Republican governor of New Jersey and a Democratic president of the United States who agree that merit pay should go to individual teachers, that agree that student achievement has to be a key part, if not the key part, of judging teacher effectiveness. And if you go and speak to parents in some of the 205 failing schools that we have across New Jersey, and you ask them whether they think bold reform is needed, if you ask them whether they think teachers should be rewarded based upon how their kids achieve, if you ask them whether they think layoffs should be determined by who's been there the longest or who's the best at their job, I think you'll get answers that are in line with my answers and with President Obama's answers, and not in line with the teachers union answers. Now, I still think that the teachers union should be signing on to an application that could bring $400 million to state, and if they're not signing on, why aren't they signing on? Because they don't believe that teachers should be laid off based upon merit, but rather purely based upon seniority? In what other industry does that happen? In what other industry does it happen that how long you're in someplace is determinative of whether you keep your job rather than how well you're doing your job? If they're not going to sign on for that reason, then I don't want their support anyway, because they're not joining with me and President Obama to try to reform the American education system so that we don't fall further behind our foreign competitors. If they don't believe that merit pay should be given to an individual teacher, who in fact earns that merit pay, but rather should be given to the whole school to be distributed to the whole school, that's not how I view merit pay. Merit pay is to be earned by the person who deserves it. And so if they're unwilling to sign on for those reasons, well then, they weren't on board with my reform and President Obama's reform from the beginning. So it's better that we find out about that now, not sometime later, because remember, if we get this money, we have to institute these reforms. And so I don't want to find out later that they're not on board. If they're not on board, they're not on board. And I would love to have them on board. And I think they should stand up for those teachers who are being successful in their union, and not just the ones who've been there longest.